Hi, this is Mike Clendenin, and in this video we're going to discuss the process that you need to be familiar with to take an exam using the ProctorTrack proctoring system. The first thing you need to do when working with ProctorTrack is to create what's known as a ProctorTrack profile. This allows ProctorTrack just to check your system and make sure everything's functional. Once your profile is approved, then you can take whatever quizzes you need to take inside of Moodle. The good thing about it is that your profile only needs to be created once. After that, you can take proctoring exams in any course in Moodle, and you don't have to create your profile again. So to start things off, we'll pretend like we're a Proctor A student. That's our demo test account here. That account is enrolled in one course here in Moodle called ProctorTrack Student Demo. So we'll go ahead and get into this course. In this particular case, we've got 3 quizzes here. And you'll notice that in all your online courses, there is a quiz usually called attendance quiz. It is something we use to track attendance, and it's usually something that the instructor will tell you to take early on. That way you'll get credit for attendance. Along with taking attendance, instructors will probably use the attendance quiz to allow you to use ProctorTrack to create your profile. That way, once you've got your profile created, any quiz that uses ProctorTrack you'll be able to take without having to recreate your profile. In this case, the attendance quiz is the one set up in this course as the onboarding quiz. So to start with, you'll just go into the quiz like you normally would with any particular course. And there's some information here. Now, this one says to attempt the quiz, you need to know the quiz password. Since this is a proctored test, you don't need to worry about that. We'll just click on Attempt Quiz Now. Okay, now you'll see the interface for ProctorTrack. Your first knee-jerk reaction would be to click on the Start Attempt button down here. However, that's not what we need to do because that bypasses the ProctorTrack system. In order to start the proctoring system itself, we'll need to click on this blue button here in the middle, go to My Dashboard. That brings up a separate window in the browser and tells you your status within the ProctorTrack system. I've got 1 test available. There's been nothing uploaded. There's been no approval failures. I haven't completed my baseline status, which is basically the profile that I have to create. So in order to be able to take any other quiz, I've first got to finish this onboarding quiz, which is right here at the bottom. Notice that it has the word onboarding beside attendance quiz. That lets you know that that's the onboarding quiz. Now, if the instructor has not specified a quiz for onboarding, you'll get an error message here telling you to contact your instructor. But in this case, everything's set up. We need to either click here to attempt the onboarding, or we can just go to the test. If this is the first time you've taken a quiz using ProctorTrack, you'll need to download the ProctorTrack plugin. Now, in this particular case, I'm using Firefox. There'll be a plugin for each browser you use. So if you switch browsers, you'll have to download the plugin for that browser. There's plugins for Firefox, for Chrome, for Edge, for Safari, all the main browsers. So each one has its own plugin. You only have to do it once. Once it's installed for a browser, you don't have to install this again. In order to proceed, we have to install this plugin. So I'll go ahead and click on Download Plugin. And each browser is going to handle this a little differently. In this particular case, Firefox is asking me what to do with this. So I'm going to save this file so then I can turn around and run this file and actually install the plugin. So it's automatically set to save file. Click on OK. And unless it's been configured differently, usually when you save a download, it goes into the downloads folder on your computer system. And that's where this is going. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. Now in the upper right hand corner of Firefox, there's an arrow pointing down showing you the progress for your downloads. All browsers are similar, but the icon may look different. I can click on the download icon in Firefox, and it shows me the files that have been recently downloaded. In this case, I want to run this file. And instead of navigating through Windows, I can go to the folder that contains that file right from here. So I'll click on this little icon, takes me to the downloads folder, and there's the extension that was just downloaded. So typically to run the extension or the plugin to add it to your browser, you just double click on it to run it just like any other application. Okay, now it's asking me what to do with this extension. I just need to click on add to actually install that extension or plugin to my browser. And it asked me a couple of questions. ProctorTrack lockdown extension was added. Allow the extension to run in private windows. I'll go ahead and click yes and click on OK. It wants you to follow these procedures here, which we've already done this. We just told it to run in the private windows. This is just something you have to specifically do for Firefox. We just did that, so we'll click on continue. Now, this is where we actually start the proctoring process. There's some steps up here. It tells you what you need to do in order to actually take a proctored test. Step 1, we've already done. We download and run ProctorTrack. Click on next. Step 2, we're going to run the system check. Step 3 will be perform the identity checks. This is where you're actually creating your profile for ProctorTrack. And then step 4 is to actually launch and take the exam. All right, so here's all the pieces that go into proctoring an exam. Some of these first things are just tips on how to best create an environment for you to be able to take a quiz. You want to use a private testing area, turn off any noise you've got around, don't have a TV going in the background, make sure that you're not in a noisy area. You need to make sure it's well lit. One of the things that a lot of people forget about is they want to set with their back to a window. And if it's bright sunlight outside, you're going to show up to the camera as a silhouette. So you want to make sure you have light coming towards your face, not your back. You want to shut down all other browser pieces, all other windows that you're using. The program is going to force you to do that anyway, so you can just go ahead and do that ahead of time. So it's just creating an environment where you're able to easily focus on taking the quiz. All right, so further down, you're only allowed certain things. Your instructor can decide which one of these pieces they'll turn on and off. Usually the defaults are all these. Everybody does the same thing. Only one keyboard and mouse. Sunglasses, wallets, phones, none of that's allowed in the area, because you're going to probably have to take a video of your environment to show that you don't have any of the not allowed personal items. Some of the other things here, instructor guidelines, in this particular case, we're not allowed to have a book. We're not allowed to use digital resources. We can't do searches on the web. That's going to be in most cases. The idea is to allow you to focus on the quiz and not be distracted by other things. Now, speaking of that, you are going to be recorded while you're taking the quiz. That's part of the proctoring process. It kind of is a two-way street. The institution wants to make sure that you are who you say you are and that you're properly taking the quiz. But it's also a safeguard for you as the student to make sure that you have a record of what you did taking the exam. There's no scanning, there's no picture taking, because you can't use a phone anyway. You may or may not be allowed to take breaks. In this particular case, that's not allowed. Food and drinks are not allowed. You can't have a calculator. You can use an on-screen calculator. Can't print, copy, paste, print screens disabled, all the typical things that keep you focused on the quiz itself. So once you've kind of read and understand all these particular elements, we'll go down here at the bottom and check that I have read, understood, and will adhere to the required environment guidelines. And then we'll click to go to the next step. All right, so now it's starting to activate the ProctorTrack system itself. Depending on the speed of your internet as to how fast this particular process works. So earlier we installed the ProctorTrack plugin. Now we need to install the actual application. Depending on your browser's setting, it may or may not come up and actually ask you to do this. In this case, we'll need to click on the little icon here. It says click here, and that will actually launch the application since it's not coming up automatically. Okay, now this is the instructions on how to download the ProctorTrack application and install that. All right, so in the middle here, there is download ProctorTrack. So I need to also save this file. I want to save it into my downloads so I know where it's at. Click on save. And the download icon here shows me how much more time it's going to take to save it. Once that's downloaded, I need to click on the folder to find that particular application. And I need to run it like we did the plugin earlier. Do I want to run this file? I'll click on run. And each browser is going to be a little bit different depending on which one you're using as to how this process works. But typically most downloads will go to the downloads folder, so it'll make it easy to find the file. All right, so the ProctorTrack system is now running. We'll get ready to go through the process of checking our system, make sure everything works. So this is just kind of telling you, what the system's going to do. Basically, it's going to be recording you. So I'll click on I confirm and then start system check. Okay, the first thing it's going to do is go out and look for your camera. Now in this particular case, I've got a desktop, so I have an external web camera attached to the top of my monitor. If you're using a laptop, the web camera is built in. Here it found a camera and a microphone and is asking me, are these the ones I want to use? Click on confirm. And now it's going to check and make sure your system is functional. This is something you have to do just once. This is all part of the process of creating your profile. They're going to want you to actually talk into the microphone. Then it's going to go to the next step. Because this is a proctored exam and we're using the ProctorTrack software, it doesn't allow you to run certain applications in the background. In one case here, I've got Dropbox running in the background. It's not going to allow me to have that running. If you had screen capturing programs or any other kind of programs that allow you to record the screen, it's going to have you close those applications down. It says to proceed, close these. I can do that by just clicking on the close button. It will close down the systems for me. All right, so now this is the first step to creating your physical profile, and this is the face scan. What you need to do is make sure you get your face in that area it's wanting you to put it in. Once I have that ready, then I'll click on scan. Then it wants you to turn to the left and then turn to the right. All right, so it's now asking you, is your face clearly visible and properly lit? If your face is not visible or it's very dark, it's going to fail the profile. So you want to make sure that it's visible. If not, you can try again. In this case, that looks good. So I'm going to click on yes. Okay, next is the ID scan. Now your instructor may give you specific information about what ID to use. If they haven't defined anything, I would use a student ID if that's what you have. So I click on next. And then I hold the ID up here. Don't worry about it being backwards, it'll fix that. And I'll click on scan. And now it says, is your ID card readable? In this case, it is. You see my name right here, Proctor Student. So that looks good. So I'll click on yes. And this just reminds you one last time what you can and cannot do. If I'm good, then I agree and let's begin. So now we need to do a room scan. Your instructor may or may not want you to do this, but I wanted to show you this in case they do. This is where you basically take your camera and show your immediate environment to show that you have no illegal devices laying around. So I'll click on scan, and then I pick up the camera and just kind of show my desk area here. I don't have anything behind me. So we're good with that. Now I can tell it to stop scanning. I've done that. It actually plays back your scan. And it says, does it cover the entire room? Looks like it did a pretty good job. So now I can say, yes, I'm good. All right, so now we're actually in the proctoring system. You will notice there's a blue border around the screen. That's telling you that you're locked out from doing anything else. You're here to just focus on the quiz itself. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see it says ProctorTrack. You're being monitored to let you know, hey, be aware that you're being recorded. The button that ends things is in the upper right-hand corner. If you need to stop for some reason, that's what you can click on. The video that it is taken through the webcam shows up in the window in the lower right-hand corner. That can be moved around if it's in your way, but usually the lower right-hand corner should be fine for most quizzes. So you see what it's seeing, and it's now recording you as you take your quiz. So we'll go ahead and take that real quick. So we'll finish this attempt. All the answers are saved, and I want to submit all and finish. Moodle just asked me, are you sure you want to finish this? I'm going to say yes. Okay, now I am done with this quiz. Since I'm done with the quiz, I no longer need ProctorTrack running. So I can go up into the upper right hand corner and click on the word end. It says, are you sure you want to end proctoring? I'm going to say yes, I've completed, I've submitted my test, and I click on end. All right. So what it does at this point, it takes all the information it collected from the profile, the video, the ID check, all that stuff, and has uploaded it to ProctorTrack. It is now being submitted so that your profile can be approved and created. I don't want to uninstall this at this point because I'm going to have to use it again. So all I need to do now is just quit the app. Okay, I am now out of the ProctorTrack system. I no longer am being monitored. I no longer have any restrictions or anything. So basically right now, I've finished my what's referred to in ProctorTrack as my onboarding quiz. But until I get my profile approved, I cannot take anything else. So I'm closing my windows, going back to where I started all this. If I go into my dashboard, once again, you'll see that I've uploaded my profile information. I have completed this attendance quiz, which is the onboarding quiz, but I still don't have my baseline status approved. Notice it says onboarding data will be processed within 4 to 8 hours. So until that is approved, I can no longer take any more proctoring tests with ProctorTrack. The ProctorTrack system will send you an email to your email address once your profile is complete. Then you can come back in and continue. Rather than sit here and wait for 4 hours in this video, I'm going to stop it now, and then we'll come back and pick up once the profile is finished, and I'll show you what the last steps are. So it's been about 3.5 hours, and I just got an email saying my profile has been approved. So I'm now back in Moodle, taking a look at the status of that and seeing what else I've got to do. You don't have to go back to the quiz you initially took for onboarding. You can go to any quiz that takes you to a ProctorTrack application. But we'll go back into the attendance quiz and we'll reattempt the quiz. This gets us to this screen here. Go to my dashboard. And now you see that the baseline status is passed. That means your onboarding data has been uploaded and has been successfully approved. So now that allows you to be able to take any tests within the Moodle system. Once you get your profile set up, doing the subsequent quizzes is going to be a lot faster and a lot quicker. So that wraps this up. If you have any questions about quizzes, make sure you contact your instructor. And I want to wish you good luck.